See, the problem with saying that RFK Jr. needs to get fucked in the ass with a Honda CRV is that when I say that, you instinctively imagine it driving straight in instead of backing in with the doors open, because fuck this guy as hard as this guy can be fucked, and fuck him right in the goddamn brain worm. Fuck this guy with the whale corpse and the chainsaw. You know, it's hard to be pissed off enough at all the people that we're supposed to be pissed off at. With all the hate that we need for Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Pete Hegseth and Kristi Noem and J.D. Vance and Pam Bondi and Marco Rubio and all the belligerent fucks that voted for this bullshit rather than admit that a black person was right when they were wrong one fucking time. But you know what? That's what I'm here for. I've dreamed for decades of a day when somebody came to me and said, nobody could be pissed off enough for this. So I got plenty of rage left over for this fucking poisonous whoopee cushion of a health secretary. And not that I needed any new thing to stoke my ire for this anti-vax, alt-med, anti-science scion of shame, but I'm sure you heard about the latest. Last Wednesday, Kennedy gave this grotesquely inaccurate speech about autism that pushed the common alternative medicine refrain that the increased prevalence of autism is from, some environmental toxin rather than the increase in testing people for autism. He pledged to find the cure for autism by September, and he vowed to do so with a wildly unethical collection of private medical data from people's doctors, pharmacies, insurance companies, and wearable devices. So ostensibly, this speech was a response to the new CDC report that noted an uptick in rates of autism. And in it, he dismissed the prevailing science about genetic inheritance. He declared that a dead end on no scientific authority than that which he gleaned in law school, I guess. He accused the public and the media of succumbing to a, quote, myth of epidemic denial, end quote, and thereby, I guess, at least implied that the scientific community was perpetuating a myth of denial. And in so doing, he disparaged the shit out of people with autism. He described children with autism as, quote, kids who will never pay taxes. They'll never hold a job. They'll never play baseball. They'll never write a poem. They'll never go out on a date. Many of them will never use a toilet unassisted, end quote. Now, of course, a lot of people's immediate response was to point out all the fucking tax-paying, baseball-playing, job-holding, poem-writing, date-going, unassisted, shit-taking people with autism that so very clearly disprove his fucking point. But as instinctual as that might be, it subtly plays into the Nazi-ass framing that he's crafted around this whole fucking thing to begin with. Right? Because, yes, there are some places on the autism spectrum where people can't use the bathroom unassisted. But so fucking what? Do we value human beings now based on how hard it is for them to take a shit? How much their existence inconveniences us? And why the fuck are the first two items on your list about productivity to the state? I mean, taxes and jobs? Holy fuck, is that how Robert Kennedy sees human beings, as potential contributors to the GDP? Because look, as terrifying as the conclusion's first approach to science that he's talking about is, the far more concerning element here is the eugenic presumptions that underlie his whole fucking argument. As though what we want is a world without autism. Right? But a world without autism is also a world without so many of the people that I love and care about. Right? And even if you could somehow extract the autism and leave the person, you'd still be siphoning away a lot of the them that I love and care about. But of course, this theme of eugenics runs beneath a lot of the alt medicine scene. Never acknowledged openly, but always just below the surface, right? It's there in the bigoted horror some parents feel when they realize that their genes could be faulty enough to create a kid with autism and then scramble for some external villain to blame. It's there in all their ableist bullshit about us making our health in our minds, a fucking mindset that necessarily excludes those with congenital conditions and necessarily ostracizes anyone unfortunate enough to develop a chronic condition along the way. And it's there in RFK Jr.'s presumption that neurotypical is an ideal that we should be trying to funnel people into. Everything about RFK's position is terrifying beyond belief, but nothing is more terrifying than the eugenics groundwork that he's laying by defining people with autism as leeches on the fucking state who need to be cured or prevented. I know a lot of people who can't play baseball or hold a job or write a poem or take an unassisted shit. What does Kennedy's cure for them look like?